What if there was an ancient secret to living in peace and with purpose, even in the midst of life's storms? Have you ever imagined being able to deal with any challenge that life throws your way, disappointments, betrayals, inner doubts, without losing your serenity? In this video, we will delve into an ancient and fascinating philosophy that guided emperors, thinkers, and wise men, and that can be the key to a truly full and resilient life. Are you ready to discover the transformative power of Stoicism? In ancient times, while the world was pulsating with wars and intrigues, there were men who found calm in the midst of chaos. Among them was Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, who instead of surrendering to power and glory, sought wisdom and inner peace. He practiced Stoicism, a philosophy that teaches us to focus on what really matters, our actions, thoughts, and virtues. In this video, we explore how this same philosophy can guide you today, showing you how to approach life with courage, serenity, and purpose. The essence of Stoicism, facing life with wisdom. Imagine a philosophy as old as the concept of living well itself. Born in the time of emperors and thinkers, Stoicism offers us restless beings of modernity, an internal compass for peace and wisdom. At the heart of this philosophy lies a profound teaching. True serenity lies not in what happens around us, but in how we choose to face those events. By looking within, we can find the key to a harmonious life, far from the whims and storms of the outside world. The journey of Stoicism begins with accepting what life presents us with, an acceptance that is not resigned, but wise. It is like watching a tree bend in the wind in a storm. It does not fight against the inevitable. Rather, it adapts, and in doing so stands firm. The Stoics teach us to do the same. It's not about repressing emotions, but about understanding and mastering them, cultivating a clarity that can only be found when we leave chaos outside and seek tranquility within. For the Stoics, life had a clear and ordered purpose, to live according to reason and virtue. And that for them was all that mattered. Virtue in Stoicism is made up of four fundamental pillars: wisdom, courage, justice, and moderation. These values are not just abstract concepts, but practical guides for the choices we make every day. By living according to these principles, we stop wasting our time on trivialities and start focusing on what really matters. Why is this important? Because by understanding what really matters, we are freed from distractions and anxieties. As if the veil of illusions were lifted, we see the world as it is and not as we would like it to be. This is where Stoicism challenges us to live fully, into seeing each situation as an opportunity to strengthen our character. Thus, every decision we make, every thought we entertain, contributes to our peace of mind, elevating us above the pressures of the outside world. Of course, the path to living according to Stoicism is not easy. It requires courage to face oneself, to question habits, and to resist the comfort of conformity. But in return, the reward is precious. A peaceful mind, a life lived in harmony with our deepest principles. Ultimately, Stoicism invites us to constantly reflect on what truly defines us. We are the sum of our actions, not the circumstances that surround us. And by practicing this philosophy, we learn that each day is an opportunity to become better, to make more conscious choices, and, like that tree in the storm, to remain firm in the face of the winds of life. Control is within us. The Stoics believed that the secret to a balanced and meaningful life lies in differentiating between what we can control and what is beyond our control. It seems simple at first glance, but this concept is the basis of a freedom that few know. We can guide our choices, our thoughts, our reactions. What lies beyond our reach, the actions of others, the unfolding of events around us, belongs to the external world, and it is as futile to try to control it as it is to hold water in one's hands. Marcus Aurelius, the great philosopher-emperor, practiced this truth daily, writing to himself, "You have power over your mind, not over external events. Understand this, and you will find strength. He, who had the world at his feet, chose to focus on his character and his reactions, for he knew that therein lay his true peace. This wisdom reminds us that by focusing our energies on what is truly ours, we no longer fret over that which we cannot change. Stoicism, then, is an invitation to let go of the habit of complaining and feeling victimized by things beyond our control. Instead, the Stoics teach us to invest in an inner power, one that depends solely on us. And this does not mean ignoring our surroundings, but rather dealing with events without being shaken, like a river flowing around rocks. This principle of inner control goes beyond philosophy. It is a daily practice. When we wake up, we are encouraged to set an intention for the day, something that is aligned with our deepest values. Every decision, no matter how small, is a chance to reaffirm our commitment to this search for serenity and purpose. In this way, we begin to live intentionally, choosing how we respond and where we direct our attention. Of course, this path requires discipline and self-awareness, and perhaps this is the hardest part of following Stoic philosophy. It requires us to constantly and attentively monitor our own thoughts and impulses, so that we do not get carried away by fleeting emotions or the judgment of others. It is an internal vigilance that distances us from external distractions and places us in harmony with who we really are. The strength of Stoicism lies ultimately in the freedom it gives us to be masters of ourselves. By accepting that we do not have control over destiny, but that we do have control over our actions, we stop wasting our energy on what is vain. Stoicism teaches us that true strength does not come from controlling the world, but from controlling ourselves. And in this discovery, we find a peace that nothing else can offer us. The 4 Stoic virtues, pillar of a full life. At the heart of Stoicism lies a practice that many of us have heard of, but few truly master: mindfulness. In a time when our days are filled with constant distractions and stimuli, stopping and connecting with the present is almost an act of rebellion. However, for the Stoics, this state of awareness was essential to living an authentic life aligned with one's own values. Mindfulness for them was not just a matter of focus, but an intentional choice to be in harmony with oneself. The Stoics believed that a wandering mind is a vulnerable mind, easily carried away by impulses and external influences. Being mindful means, above all, being aware of our actions and the reasons behind them. Thus, each step, each word, each decision becomes shaped by a purpose. It is as if each moment were a blank canvas waiting to be filled with the traits of our virtue and character. Life becomes richer, clearer, because we know that each choice is ours, and this keeps us away from regrets and an existence lived on autopilot. Exercising mindfulness, however, requires more than the intention to be present. It demands discipline to resist rushing, the desire to respond without thinking, the temptation to go with the flow without questioning. The Stoics encourage us to observe our thoughts and feelings without letting them take control of our actions. It is a constant practice of self-observation that, although simple in theory, is challenging in practice. But by maintaining mindfulness, we gain a deeper understanding of who we are and what we truly want. For the Stoics, this practice did not mean running away from emotions, but rather understanding them. Feeling angry, sad, or happy is part of the human experience, and they did not deny that, but rather than allowing themselves to be dominated, the Stoics sought to recognize that these feelings are fleeting, like clouds crossing the sky. They taught us that by observing our feelings and impulses with a certain detachment, we find a unique freedom, that of not being slaves to our emotions. In the Stoic routine, this mindfulness begins early, in the morning. Before getting caught up in the demands of the day, it is important to reflect on what we want to achieve and how we want to respond to the challenges that may arise. This brief moment of introspection is what allows us to act with intentionality, rather than being reactive to whatever the world throws at us. And as we close the day, another moment of reflection. What did we do well? Where can we improve? Thus, the day is shaped and our actions become steps towards a fuller and more conscious life. Ultimately, mindfulness is a way of connecting with something greater than the immediate. By living with purpose and reflecting on our choices, we move away from chaos and cultivate a serenity that is, in itself, an act of virtue. For by being present, we ensure that each moment is lived as a work of art that reflects the best of ourselves. The legacy of Marcus Aurelius, a living example of Stoicism. Stoic philosophy proposes that rather than resisting the inevitable, we should embrace it as an essential part of our journey. For them, acceptance of reality, and it is the key to a life without unnecessary suffering. And it is in this acceptance that we find the secret of resilience, not passive conformity, but a silent strength that emerges when we adapt to what we cannot change. For the Stoics, acceptance is not giving up. It is understanding that often true victory is to remain calm in the midst of chaos. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, spoke about the importance of accepting things as they are, without trying to shape them according to our desires. He knew, like few others, that reality is indifferent to our whims, and that fighting the inevitable is a waste of time and energy. Accepting what is beyond our control is, paradoxically, an act of freedom, and by focusing on what truly depends on us, our attitudes and choices, we let go of the burden of trying to control what does not belong to us. This resilience is not born overnight. It is built little by little, with each challenge faced, each time we choose to react with serenity instead of despair. By preparing ourselves to face adversity with a Stoic outlook, we develop an inner strength that sustains us. It is like a rock that, even in the midst of waves, remains firm. The Stoics show us that life is full of uncertainties, and that, by accepting this, we free ourselves from the fear that comes with the expectation of absolute control. The practice of Stoic resilience involves a daily review, a moment of reflection, in which we evaluate what we can do better. For the Stoics, each day was an opportunity for growth, another step on the ladder of self-knowledge. They cultivated the idea that life is a series of tests, and that by facing them with wisdom and calm, we become stronger. Thus, we learn to see challenges as part of the process of becoming better versions of ourselves. Stoic acceptance, however, is not cold or distant. It is accompanied by compassion for ourselves and others. By understanding human fragility and imperfection, we stop being so critical and allow ourselves the space to make mistakes and learn. Acceptance gives us serenity, and resilience gives us the strength to start over as many times as necessary. Ultimately, the Stoic practice of acceptance and resilience invites us to live lightly, to let go of the burden of perfectionism, and to embrace the impermanence of life. Each moment becomes an opportunity to reaffirm our commitment to inner peace, to transform difficulties into steps, and to understand that true power lies in being steadfast in the face of storms. How Stoicism can transform your life. Imagine yourself at the end of an ordinary day, standing in front of the mirror. Your face reflects the challenges you have overcome, the smiles you have given, the words you have exchanged. But beyond the reflection that your eyes see, there is another side, the face of who you strive to be. For the Stoics, virtue was the essential guide, a kind of unshakable north that silently guides every choice and action. This concept of virtue, contrary to what it may seem at first glance, does not carry moralistic weight. It is, above all, a commitment to oneself, a delicate and constant practice of getting closer to the best version of oneself. For the ancient Stoics, virtue has its roots in the four qualities that they considered fundamental: courage, justice, wisdom, and temperance. However, do not think that these concepts come with the rigidity of immutable rules. They are, in fact, flexible principles that adapt to the character of those who live by them. Courage, for example, can manifest itself in the grand act of facing an external challenge, but also in the simple gesture of being honest with oneself. Justice, on the other hand, is not only an idea of balance between right and wrong. It is the daily practice of treating others with empathy, recognizing our own humanity in the eyes of others. Wisdom, perhaps the most precious of virtues, is the key to interpreting the world with discernment. To be wise, in the eyes of the Stoics, is to see things as they really are, without the distortion of desires or fears. It is that almost mysterious sensation of understanding the nuances of events and other people's intentions, accepting that not everything needs a response or correction. Thus, being wise is an act of humility, an acknowledgement that there is much more beyond our control than our ego is capable of admitting. The last virtue, temperance, appears as a kind of compass which adjusts and moderates all other impulses. In a world that constantly pushes us towards excess, whether of emotions, reactions, or desires, temperance offers a refuge of serenity. It teaches us that we do not need to absorb everything, that we can choose what we carry with us. Thus, temperance is not restraint. It is rather a path to freedom. It is the space between impulse and action where true choice takes place. However, the practice of virtue is a journey, and this journey, there are days when all these principles will seem distant, like stars in a cloudy sky. But in Stoicism, this is part of the process. Growth is not a straight line, but a spiral that takes us back to the beginning, only to see once again that we still have much to learn. Virtue is not an achievement. It is a choice made anew each morning, a step we take toward who we want to become. Furthermore, this pursuit of virtue does not require perfection. The Stoics understood that, just as the seasons change, so do we. There will be moments of failure, of impulse, of regret. But rather than seeing these moments as weaknesses, they encourage us to treat them as opportunities for a new beginning. Every mistake, every stumble is a reminder that we are alive, learning, growing. Virtue does not eliminate error. It embraces it and transforms it into strength. Perhaps the most fascinating aspect of Stoic virtue is the serenity it brings. By committing to this practice, we free ourselves from the need for external approval. Virtue is a solitary journey, but not solitary in the sense of isolation. It is the kind of solitude that allows us to be at peace in our own company. And in doing so, we become more capable of giving the world the best that is in us. Not because we seek applause, but because this generosity of spirit is itself a reflection of the virtue we cultivate. At the end of the day, when stillness sets in, the Stoic asks himself not only what he did, but why he did it. He reflects on what went well, what could have gone better, and above all, what he can learn from what happened. It is a silent meditation, a kind of internal conversation that brings us closer to ourselves and our purpose. The Stoic knows that the path to virtue is long and that it will never reach an end point. But this, paradoxically, is what makes the journey fascinating and full of meaning. By embracing virtue as a daily practice, we find in every gesture, in every thought, an opportunity for refinement. Not because perfection is possible, but because in the effort to get closer to it, we become more human, more conscious. In the end, Stoicism offers us a simple but profound truth. Living a virtuous life is, ultimately, a work of art in constant construction, a creation where, little by little, we reveal the best of who we are. Stoicism is a personal and transformative journey that requires daily practice, but that also offers profound rewards, a life of peace, virtue, and purpose. If you want to continue learning about how to evolve and face life with courage, subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and stay tuned for the next videos. Let's explore together the vast universe of self-development and Stoicism. Until the next journey.